Today we are going to do an author study of Mem Fox's books.
And who remembers where Mem Fox comes from in the world? Lizzie, where'd she come from? She comes from Australia, which is very, 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 very far away.
Hi everyone, I'm Mem Fox, and I wrote some of the books that you've been reading. This afternoon we're filming in Australia, where I live. Australia's as big as America, but we have many fewer people living here. We drive on the other side of the road in this country, as you can see. But in other ways, our countries are a lot alike. Hi! Ordinary street, ordinary house. Not very different from America, hey? Come inside. This way. This is where I work most of the time, and it's a kind of extension at the back of the house. Would you like to come outside? This is my back garden. I think you call it a backyard. Just look up here. This tree that I'm standing in front of is probably the sort of tree Koala Lou raced up during the Bush Olympics. There was once a baby koala, so soft and round that all who saw her loved her. Her name was Koala Lou. The emu loved her, the platypus loved her, and even tough little koala claws next door loved her.
What do you notice right away about this book? You can tell it's a Mem Fox book. What?
She put animals.
Okay, she uses animals in her story. Where are they from?
Australia.
From Australia.
This is a bandicoot. Bandicoots are just gorgeous. This one is a goanna. This one is the wombat. This one is the emu. This, of course, is a kangaroo. Any minute now, you're going to see an emu. Now, some people say emu, and that's wrong. You have to say emu. Remember that. It's the second biggest bird in the world after the ostrich. It doesn't fly, even though it seems to have feathers. Emus are a bit scary. They can peck really badly. That's why I don't want to go too close, okay? Let's go and talk to the park ranger. She'll let us pet the koalas. Koalas live in gum trees. They eat leaves all day long. A lot of people think they look like bears, but they're not actually bears. They're marsupials. They carry their babies in a pouch. I love koalas. I adore them. This book, Koala Lou, is my favorite book. So I don't want to tear my hair out. But I nearly did while I was writing Koala Lou. 49 times over 2 years. Can you imagine? This book fits onto 1 page of writing. 410 measly little words. And 49 rewrites over 2 years. Whenever she stretched in the early morning sun, or climbed a gum tree, or bravely went down the path all by herself, her mother would smile and say, Koala Lou, I do love you. Words are like colours. This one is a very deep word. This one is a bright word. And picking them is very hard because the overall picture has to be perfect. If you were writing about a snake, because the word snake starts with an S and snakes hiss, it's nice to have the word snake in the sentence, and then perhaps slinky or slimy. Oh, look, I'm tired of this. Writing is very hard. I like being a writer, but I hate writing because it's so difficult to get it right. So let me show you my room. Let me show you what I've got on my desk. Every writer needs a dictionary. I have a thesaurus here, which is actually falling apart. Woo! And all my pencils here, which I absolutely desperately need. Come and see where I keep my books. This is Hattie and the Fox. Love that book. I love Night Noises because I wrote it when my mother had a surprise 70th birthday party. This one, actually, this woman is 90 in here, but I wrote it when my mum turned 70. So, should we go into the kitchen and see the real paintings hanging on the wall? Come on. The way artists work is they do some drawings, they try them out, and if they don't work, then they have to do a whole other drawing. Terry Denton, who did the pictures in Night Noises, did this book 3 times, poor man, 3 times. But I hope you like it. I hope you like Night Noises, because Terry and I did our best to make it a terrific book for kids like you.
Night Noises is the name of the story. Lily Laceby lived in an old cottage in the hills. Her hair was as wispy as cobwebs in ceilings. Her bones were as creaky as floorboards at midnight.
My husband's favourite book is Night Noises. The old woman in the book is named for his grandmother, whose name was Lily. She lived in a little village called Laceby in the north of England. So Lily and Laceby made those 2 names. Creak, crack went Lily Laceby's knees as she got to her feet. Snick, snack went the bolts on the doors. And
In came her 2 sons, her 3 daughters, her 14 grandchildren, her 35 great-grandchildren.
I always say I get my ideas from real life and books. And the thing that I love most about my real life is the relationships that I have. My family is very important to me. My husband Malcolm and I have been married now for 23 years. We have 1 child called Chloe. This is my daughter Chloe. Mate. She is going nuts. We're trying to get this tape going. Hello, Chloe. Say hello to the children in America, Chloe.
Hi, children in America, hi.
Relationships are a very, very easy thing to write about. For instance, people say to me about Kuala Lumpur must be about you and your daughter. But it's actually about my mother and me, because my mother is still alive and she's a tough woman. But because she's so tough, she would not say to me, I love you. So I wrote a book in which a mother said that, because I wanted that to happen. When the first stars of evening appeared in the sky, Kuala Lumpur crept home through the dark and up into the gum tree where her mother was waiting for her.
Before she could say a word, her mother flung her arms around her neck and said,
I do love you.
I always have, and I always will. And she hugged her for a very long time.
The reason why I love Kuala Lumpur is because there are a whole lot of things in there that belong in my own life, but belong in the life of so many people in the world. It's about jealousy, wishing that your brothers and sisters hadn't been born because you don't know that your parents like you as much because they have to share the love. Of course they do. But we all wonder about it. I still wonder about it at my age.
What happens when your mom or dad has to be with your little brother or sister? What happened, Emma?
Well, before the baby was born, my dad told me if I felt left out, I should tell him.
That's good. And did you? That's good.
Twice.
What I have realized by traveling around the world, from India to Australia to New York, is that children everywhere are the same.
This story could really take place anywhere, not only in Australia, but it could take place right here in the United States.
I like America. I go there 2 or 3 times a year to meet the people who are reading and teaching my books.
Thanks so much. I enjoyed this book so much. I'm delighted to meet you.
Thank you.
We have possums where we live. This is going to be wonderful.
Do you? That's why I wrote it, because I have possums where I live
Yes,
too.
I love that.
Possum magic. Once upon a time, but not very long ago, deep in the Australian bush lived 2 possums. Their names were Hush and Grandma Poss.
I decided to write the most Australian book that's ever been written. It will have all the Australian animals, it will have the Australian foods, it will have the Australian state capitals. Grandma Poss made bush magic. She made wombats blue and kookaburras pink. She made dingoes smile and emus shriek. But the best magic of all was the magic that made Hush invisible. Now, Grandma Poss is a good magician, but she's getting old. She has forgotten how to make Hush visible again. And then she remembers that it's something to do with food. And this is where American kids might find it interesting. Because the foods that they eat to make themselves visible are foods that American kids have never heard of.
They ate Anzac biscuits in Adelaide, Mornay and Minties in Melbourne, steak and salad in Sydney, and pumpkin scones in Brisbane.
So American kids read these weird foods and think, my goodness, what is this possum eating in order to be visible again?
Hush remained invisible. Don't lose heart, said Grandma Poss. Let's see what we can find in Darwin.
It was there in the far north of Australia that they found a Vegemite sandwich. Grandma Poss crossed her claws and crossed her feet. Hush breathed deeply and began to eat. A tail, shouted both possums at once, for there it was, a brand new visible tail.
Does anybody know what a Vegemite sandwich is? No. Here it says that it's a spread used on toast and in children's sandwiches. And I'm told that it kind of comes in a jar like peanut butter.
Later, on a beach in Perth, they ate a piece of pavlova. Hush's legs appeared. So did her body. You look wonderful, you precious possum, said Grandma Poss.
When authors do that, it's called alliteration. When an author uses the same sound at the beginning of each word, it's kind of poetry, isn't it? Let's do that again. You look wonderful, you precious possum, said Grandma Poss. Isn't that nice?
From that time onwards, Hush was visible. But once a year, on her birthday, she and Grandma Poss ate a Vegemite sandwich, a piece of pavlova, and half a lamington, just to make sure that Hush stayed visible forever.
And she did. The end.
Yeah. What's the back?
I'm going to show you the back, because the back's real important. What did Mem Fox do? Sarah?
It's kind of like a map of Australia where they found all the food.
That's right.
It seemed to me that if it was an Australian animal becoming visible again, the only thing that could possibly make it come visible would be very Australian foods. Pavlova, lamingtons, Vegemite sandwiches. I mean, to have had that possum, little Hush, eating popcorn, or a pizza, or a hamburger, would have been just plain silly. Uh-oh. I have to give a speech tonight. This could be a problem. How am I going to find Australian foods here in America? Candy, let's look in the candy section. Maybe they'll have minties here. Minties, minties, minties. No, that's not it. Oh my gosh, there are so many different kinds of candy here. I absolutely must find minties here somewhere. No, no, not that. No, no, no. Oh, minties. What else? Let's see. Maybe I can find Anzac biscuits somewhere here. Oh, wait, these look yummy. But they won't do a thing for this invisible problem. Oh dear, let's keep looking. Oh, here they are. Now, where do you think Americans will keep Vegemite? I have no idea which aisle to look in. Oh dear, maybe with the peanut butter. Oh, there's miles and miles, 10 kilometers of jars on these shelves. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, Vegemite. Oh, this is a miracle. I had a wonderful teacher at high school. She was absolutely brilliant, and she read aloud to us a lot. We didn't pass exams very well, none of us did, but all of us are still readers, and all of us have language to use when we need it in powerful situations. When we write or we speak, if we need language, we have it, because that woman read aloud to us. Thank God for Miss Smith. Those of you who are teaching kindergarten and first grade, you never know what you are doing now may be used 60 years later when that writer comes to write something and needs that particular story that you told back in 1992. Let me read you this one. And when I finish this, I have finished my talk. It's time to sleep, little dear, little dear. The very last kiss is almost here. The stars on high are shining bright. Sweet dreams, my darling. Sleep well.